Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Cole, and if you've been following our Snowcat build, the last video was finally getting the tracks done. Wow, am I so happy to say that. I have been mentally done with building tracks for quite a while. I completely underestimated how much work that was. I've been working on building these tracks since last November. That's almost a year. Now I am a little bit crazy and I love doing everything myself. So not only did I assemble the tracks by myself, well, with the help of my dad and son and that, but we made dies for my mechanical press brake. We stamped out all the components to make each grouser. There's 250 grousers, each one with about 7 components. We got them hot dip galvanized. It was a ridiculous amount of work, but it looks amazing. This rig is super cool. If you haven't been seeing any of the build videos on this, it's turbo diesel powered. It's going to be a hydrostatic drive, 5-seater winter tracked vehicle, aka a Snowcat. We got a whole playlist, so if you haven't seen that yet, go check out the playlist for this. There's a lot of videos, and I've been told by viewers it's one of the coolest builds on YouTube. So check it out. I really think you'll enjoy them all. Okay, with all that being said, I'm going to start with building the hydraulic tank. This is going to be a pretty easy build to get started with. It's just going to be a rectangular tank. We're going to mount it in the back of the vehicle. I have a weld-on filler neck, a breather cap that'll get threaded in, and then we'll put a couple ports near the bottom of the tank to accept some hydraulic fittings. There really should only need to be 2 ports, the supply to the pumps and the return from the hydraulic system, but I'm probably going to put 3 just in case. I don't know if maybe I need to put a case drain on my motors. They're not supposed to require it, but then I could plumb that in as well. If you're ever doing any aluminum working, I know it's tempting to clean up your edges with a flap disc on a grinder, and I mean, I do it sometimes too, but if you really want nice soot-free welds, don't hit it with a flap disc, because no matter what, they always impregnate a little bit of contaminants into the aluminum, and the best way is like a carbide burr or a file. It's just using a die grinder on an edge like this is rather difficult, so might be a little slow, but you'll get good results using a file. We're on to TIG welding. I don't know why I love welding so much, especially TIG welding. It's like my Zen space. You have to control your breathing and your brain's so focused it can't think about anything else, and I love that. That's a 1/4 NPT for the vent. So I hadn't really decided where I want the vent and the filler. Now that we've got this made, I think the vent should come in nice and close to here. It'll be protected. And really just the filler somewhere around there, maybe. Yeah. The ports will all be here. This will actually be raised up a little bit and solid mounted. I would love the idea for it to be completely in contact with this bottom piece, but without actually securing them well, they're gonna just rattle on each other. So I'm gonna lift it up maybe 1/2 inch. Well, we got our plate with the NPT holes in it finally. That was not the easiest thing in the world to do. Now we just need to locate it on the front of the tank or the inboard side of the tank. And I'm gonna put the left port at center because it'll be the suction. That way when the vehicle is going up or down, it's dead center in the tank, and you know, we should keep it fairly full, but I think that'll ensure that we always have hydraulic fluid available to the pumps. The other one's just a return. I only went with 2 because I figured, you know what, I'll just tee this off if I need more lines in the future. We'll keep it simple. originally thinking about the design of the hydraulic tank, I kind of wanted to custom make it into the angle of the back end. I decided not to do that just because I see this as a great area to have some rear lights, marker lights, floodlights, something that might get recessed in, and I wanted to keep access to that in case there's a bit of a pocket that gets welded in. So that's why I opted for just a simple tank, also just to keep things simple. But I'm thinking somewhere right around here. And I think kind of the weight of the hydraulic oil and the tank and everything is going to kind of balance the weight of the battery on the other side. Ultimately, it would have been nice to have both of them low, but the tank is gravity feed down to the pumps, and I didn't want the battery in an area that I might need later. I'm just going to use rib nuts on this side too because it's 1/8 wall. The bottom I'm going to drill and tap because it's quarter, and it will be perfectly fine. If you don't know what a rivet nut is, it's a little threaded insert. It kind of works like a pop rivet. You put it on a setting tool. There's a few different variations. They come in whatever bolt size you want, metric, standard for the most part. And you put it in, squeeze it down, it sandwiches the material you're putting it in and leaves you with a really nice threaded insert that you can bolt onto. So, works great with thinner material. So a shout out to Christy at Lake of the Woods Electric. She loves making hydraulic lines, and I brought her a pretty good order. These aren't all that high pressure. These pumps only go to about 2,500 PSI, I think. So these are 3,000 PSI hoses, all with 5/8 JIC. And I was impressed. I got this and a hose, a 1-inch hose for my loader, and it was like 900 bucks, which isn't too bad considering how many fittings and stuff like that are here. So that's pretty nice. We're gonna have two different lengths of lines on the inside, longer to the driver's side of the vehicle, and then a little shorter on the passenger. I did want to try and keep them all the same just for having spares and replacements, but it was gonna be a little messy on this side trying to find a place for the extra hose, so it is what it is. And then the other lines, I have 4 of them made up, all identical, so that'll keep things nice, are gonna run right down along here. This end's gonna attach to a bulkhead fitting. I was gonna be me and go crazy and make my own fittings out of aluminum and weld them in and get real fancy, but I opted for a standard bulkhead. It just sandwiches your material. I think if I put a nice chamfer on those holes, I'll be able to put an O-ring on here with a slight little bit of silicone and really lock those down and seal them up. So be nice short little lines. Now I know what everyone's probably gonna say right now is those are exposed, and they are. I mean, I hit anything in the back of the vehicle or swing around in the bush and it's gonna grab one of these. I get it. It is just the cleanest, nicest way to run my lines in. I wanted to stay away from the sides where the tracks are, and it's nothing a nice little guard can't cover. I get it. But one problem, I had these lines made up and no fault of the person making them. I should have been maybe a little more specific on what I wanted. I asked for an 18-inch line. Didn't really think too hard about it, and they put an 18-inch hose in, but added in after, you know, the length of the fittings. So they're about 3 inches longer than I wanted. And they would be usable. My bulkhead fittings can't go right up near the top because there's a tube there, so they need to be placed somewhere around here. But that leaves a big loop there. I think what I can do is probably take these back to the hydraulic shop. I can't think of why they shouldn't be able to trim it down, put a new straight 5/8 JAC on, crimp it, whatever, you know, costs 50 bucks a hose to get that done, who cares? I want them nice and as low profile as possible. Just happens, right? Okay, let's get laying out the bulkhead fittings and then we can start assembling our puzzle of hoses. If you haven't seen the building of the hull, this is 3/16, so it'll be plenty strong enough to hold those bulkhead fittings. Apparently it's Nerf battle time. Ow! I think one of the best things I did was just order some kits of like O-rings and fasteners and different things, because I just found the perfect O-ring. Well, that one's too big. See about that one. Oh yeah. Perfect. Honestly, with that O-ring in there, I don't think I'm going to even bother with silicone. I'm pretty sure that's going to seal up really nice, kind of like an ORB fitting. And if you're wondering what any background noise is, my son is out here playing around after he shot me with Nerf. That is nice and solid. Well, it's about a week later. I got all these outside hoses shortened down so the radiuses are really nice now. I don't know how much of that I really are going to end up showing you in the video. And my thread sealant for the NPT threads also came in. I don't know if it really matters. I bought this specific hydraulic stuff. I just didn't want to risk contaminating the hydraulic fluid. I do have other pipe dopes and pipe sealants, but I wasn't confident they were hydraulic rated. So let's get putting this stuff together. I know it feels weird not using Teflon tape, but I don't believe that type of thread sealant relies on that. It sort of cures. Oh. yeah. Much nicer length. Oh, they go together easier too. I'm just doing them hand tight for now. Oh, perfect. There it is. That looks good. I hope it shows up on camera as nice, but it looks kind of mean looking. With the lines on the outside of the vehicle done, we'll move over to the pump. I'm gonna blow it off with an air gun and stuff there, but we'll pull out the plugs that the manufacturer has in there, and this one is all I think like a number 8 ORB fitting, so it uses an O-ring as a sealing surface, not the pipe threads like the outside stuff, or a JIC, but it's ORB to JIC. I know, a lot of acronyms. Hydraulics is a interesting thing to wrap your head around. But we'll get all these fittings in, and then we'll have a spot to land the inside hoses. If you're not familiar with this pump, it is a tandem piston pump, so it's a positive displacement pump, not like a gear pump. And I can control the direction of hydraulic fluid flow just by manually operating these levers, which is known as manual displacement control. And then the 2 lines that go to the motor, the fluid just goes either way I tell it to through this lever arm. There's actually 3 pumps in here, because then there's a charge pump that keeps the 2 mains full of hydraulic oil. And there's 2 case drains that go back to tank on the bottom of the pumps. Now, this is considered a closed circuit hydraulic system. So one pump supplies one motor, the other pump supplies another motor, and like, I don't know, I've been told like 3/4 of the fluid generally just stays going around in that circuit. A little bit gets bled off just due to the pumps and motors themselves, which goes through the case drains back to tank. So the supply to these isn't like a gear pump where it has a really big supply hose from a tank, because this isn't an open circuit. Open circuit hydraulics draw off the tank, raise it in pressure, high volume, compress it, try to compress it down, and then after the cylinder is like a log splitter, it goes back to tank. This recirculates hydraulic fluid, replenishing it just a little bit at a time. So you don't need huge reservoirs or huge lines, being that it sort of just does its own thing. I hope that makes sense. I am not a hydraulics expert, but that's my understanding of this type of setup. I did pre-lubricate these O-rings. I don't know if you're required to, but it feels like, you know, changing an oil filter or something. Just a smart thing to do. I believe there's oil in there from when the manufacturer test run these pumps before shipping. Like I say, there's actually 3 pumps in here, so there's an inlet, a charge pump, and then this is the charge line to the second pump. Well, this is like wrestling a snake or something. Got a little twisting here. I think, you know, I kind of was planning this anyways, but what we can do is find where the hoses are happy, like if that's it right there, where it's not rubbing on anything, then we can weld a bracket on and we'll put a mount to hold these hoses, and then they won't chafe anywhere or rub. So I kind of, you know, we'll see what looks good. Maybe something like that, have them flat. I don't know. Vertical? What looks better? I mean, I guess it's not bad. I like it better down though. Well, I really do think I want this hose stepped out a little further to follow its pair, and then I can make a mount for right side hoses and then a separate mount for left side hoses. Other than that, I'm really happy with that. I don't, you know, a longer hose isn't that big a deal. Too short of a hose, that's where you have problems. You'll probably notice the return lines, I'm not using JIC fittings or anything. Ultimately because down below it's pretty tight, and to get the fittings in there they would have to be custom hoses, and just going with barb fittings and transmission cooler hose is a much cheaper alternative. However, the downside to it is when you push this hose on those barbs, it's done. It's not coming off. You're cutting hose. So I'm gonna get my lengths close and just sort of stub it on and leave it, because I still want to pull the tank out and shake any debris and things that might be in it. So we'll get rough lengths. Something like that. This is our supply to the charge pump that keeps the main pumps full of fluid, and I'm picking it up off the center of the tank. So inclines or declines on the vehicle shouldn't have any trouble picking up oil, not to mention, you know, we'll probably keep it full like that. So that. like that for now. We can trim that hose down later. There we have it. That is the hydraulics, mostly plumbed. I'm gonna wait on putting supports in the bottom down here until I sort of see how everything wants to settle. And the returns, missing a fitting, and obviously there needs to get hose clamps on stuff on there. So almost done, but I do want to take the tank out one more time, make sure everything's clean. And those back fittings, oh yeah, I'm so happy I got those hoses shortened up. You know, little details like that make the difference. There we go. Hydraulics, check. Another thing off the list. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and in the coming ones on the Snowcat, we need to make the pump controls and then finish up coupling the pump to the motor. And then we're basically there. I want testing to happen before Christmas, so I'm gonna be working hard at it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.